Welcome back to MVM. Today we have a review. This is a Stefan Feld game. It is a two-player game from Renegade Game Studios in conjunction with Frosted Games. It is called Revolution of 1828. It's not a war game. It's a game based on the election in the United States of 1828.
Yeah, and it was the first year that we saw smear campaigns really come into play, and that is what you're seeing portrayed here on the board, in addition to the election between John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson.
Right, so the board is going to be placed in the center of the table as we have here. You're going to notice that it's color coordinated into 6 different regions. However, only 5 of the regions are areas within the United States that you're trying to pull delegates from in order to gain votes. The final area is called the press. This is where smear campaigns are going to be placed at the end of the round in order to try to gain some negative votes from the other player. All right, so to set up the game, you're going to place all the different tokens into the bag. These tokens represent the 5 different types of delegates in the game. Again, these are color coordinated to the board that you see here. You have 3 different types of smear campaigns. Although they have different art on the front of them, they're all basically the same. They have the same function within the game. You're going to place those in the bag as well. And they're going to take all the different campaign actions. There's 7 different types of campaign actions. These all have different powers in the game. All of these tokens are going to be mixed together, put in the bag, and they're going to take 3 of them out randomly and place them into each of these different areas. How they're placed doesn't matter. It has to be 100% random when you do it. Then you're going to put all the delegates on the right colored area, including the press right here, because that's going to score when you play the game. So the game is very simple. You're going to play over 4 different rounds. Each round, a new player is going to take the first action. This is all about action selection, pulling something off the board, doing something with it, and then going to the next player. So let's talk about what you're trying to do within the game. You're trying to collect votes, and to collect votes, you have to have delegates on your side. So at the start of the game, you get one of any number of actions. What you're doing is you're taking any one of these tokens and you're pulling it off the board and placing it on your side. All these have different types of functions. I'll talk about the delegates first. I'll let you talk about the campaign actions. The delegates are very simple. The moment you take a delegate, you're going to look at the color that they are, and you're going to place that on that side of your board in that particular color. So I would take this player here, and I place it right here below my blue section. You're trying to collect the most of these because if you have majority at the end of the round, you're going to gain some victory points.
And this is where things start to get interesting, because now something has started to happen on the board. Because once one of these areas is cleared out, there's going to be something that happens with the electors. But first, let's talk about campaign action. So if I were to take this brown action, it's going to allow me to do one of several actions. And like Jeremy said, there are 7 different ones in the game. My favorite one so far has been the money action, because when you take one of these, as long as you have one other campaign action in your area, you can spin those to take an additional action, which would allow me then to potentially take this and keep Jeremy from scoring it.
All of these 7 different campaign actions have different abilities. Some of them take place immediately, meaning the moment that you take that campaign action, you have to spend it or use it in some particular way. Some of them are keyed off of other type of actions that you're going to take in the games. And you're trying to collect those as well because they give you powers, but also if you have the majority of these campaigns at the end of a round, you're going to get some points as well. And we'll explain scoring in a moment. The third type of thing that you can take is a smear campaign, and they look similar to the campaign actions. They have art on the front of them, but you're going to notice that they have more of a black border around them than the brown border. If you take one of these actions, for instance, there's this one here, you're allowed to take it and place it on any one of the 5 regions. It basically acts as a delegate for you for that turn. It will count as a delegate. But there's some negative ramifications for taking those, and we'll talk about those in a moment. Now, some things you need to know about the board. It's not just that simple as taking actions. The moment anyone takes the last tile from one of these areas, something's going to happen. So if I take this green one, I'm going to place it onto my side. If you take the last tile, 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, you're going to claim that elector, and you're going to put him on your side of the board. That's very important for scoring. The second thing that's going to happen is you get an additional turn. So you can string some turns along. This is where taking actions at the right time and setting yourself up for combos and trying to prevent your opponent from getting combos is very important within the game. You're going to keep doing these actions one at a time, pulling tiles to your side, doing the action of them, putting them to your side of the board until all the tiles are cleared out. That's going to signify the end of round 1. Then you're going to actually go into scoring. And you're going to score for a wide variety of different things. The first thing you're going to score is you're going to look at all those campaign tiles that Kira showed you previously. If you've not spent them, if you've not gotten rid of them, you're going to look to see whoever has the most. And whoever has the most is going to score 3 votes or 3 victory points. And you're just going to collect those under your side of the table. The second thing that you're going to score for is for the delegates.
So yeah, so you're looking to see how many you have in majority. So whoever has the majority is going to gain 1 vote. However, if there's no one on the other side of the board, you're going to get 2 votes. From there, you're going to then look and see if you have the elector on your side. If you do, you're going to get points for 1 for each of the people on your side of the board.
This is where more of the comboing is going to really matter. So if I have this blue guy over here, not only am I going to score 1 point because I have the majority of them, but I'm also scoring 3 additional points because I have 3 additional guys over here. So this is why it's really important to get that elector and try to claim those tiles and set yourself up to gain those electors through the course of the round. The final thing that you're going to score for is the worst thing to score for, because you don't want to score for it. You're going to take all of the smear campaigns that you've collected in that particular round. Yeah, they're going to count for the delegates, but they're also all going to go over to the press. And you're going to see whoever has the press in their area. Say, for instance, I have my press guy here. I have to give her points equal to however many of these smear campaigns I have on my side of the board. These tiles, being the smear tiles, are going to stay with you throughout the entire game. They're never going to go away. All the other tiles you've collected are going to be returned to the box. You're going to draw 3 new tiles for each of these different areas. The first turn marker is going to pass to the next player, and you're going to do this for 4 rounds until you reach the end of the game. At the end of the game, you're going to tally up your victory points to see whoever has the most. So, did I miss anything with that?
No, I don't think so. The game is very simple to play. I would say that it shouldn't take more than a few minutes to get up and running, and then as you go, it'll get more intuitive as you go.
All right, so let's actually get into our review. We're going to always talk about the positives first. Do you want to start? I'll let you start.
Sure. I really like how thematic the game is, in that just, for instance, the last thing we talked about with the smear campaigns with the editor, if you have the editor on your side, you were using smear tactics in order to gain votes and delegates in a particular area, and it might have benefited you up front, but it's now come to bite you in the bottom later because now the press has the news and they're getting it out there, and that's what that's signifying. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, although the game is abstract at heart, they did bring in that theme of the election, those smear campaigns, being able to collect those, which you want to collect because they are going to help you gain those areas, because at the start of the game, you're looking to see however many delegates are on each side. If there's only 1 blue delegate, you know that you may need some smear campaigns to catch up or to block your opponent from scoring. So you need to take those, but you also need to position yourself, and that really kind of ties into that theme. So I agree. I think there's a lot of layers to this. When we first played this game, actually the first couple games, you think that it's very simple. Like, it's like, okay, I'm not really understanding the point of it. But once you start playing it multiple times, you understand the timing aspect. And that's really important for any of these Feld games. All of these campaign actions do something, and we didn't really go through all of them, but they all have very significant meaning within the game. They allow you to time things and combo things together, so that your ability to take those at very specific points and to set yourself up for very specific actions, or to deny your opponent from doing something, or maybe leaving them with a bunch of junk at the end of a round. There's a lot of layers to it. It's very much like Azul. If you've played Azul before, you know if in a 2-player game, it's very cutthroat. And that's the same thing with this game, and I like that about it.
Oh yeah, I would 100% agree. One of the other campaign actions, I know I mentioned the finance action, but there's the one that allows you to then knock over one of these delegates before it is moved to someone's side. So, okay, great, I've got the green delegate, it's going to help me in votes, but it's not going to allow me to take that extra action. So there's a little bit of meanness, little take that to it as well in order to gain the victory that you're seeking.
Lots of decisions, lots of gamesmanship. The game is very easy to teach too. As I said, there's a lot of things going on that you need to know, but however, at its basic structure, it's pulling a tile, reading to see what it does, and you're going to be reading it the first couple times, but once you've played a couple times, you understand what all these campaign tiles are going to do.
I really like how, like you said, every time I play, it's a little different. It depends on who you're playing against. You learn a little bit every time you play it, so you might be adjusting, especially if you're playing with the same person, because, okay, well, I know that Jeremy's going to go really heavy on smear tactics if he has the opportunity to, so I want to keep those from him without obtaining the editor. But then the next game, he's going to be ready for me to do that. So it's different and fun and challenging every time it's played.
And the fact that the tiles come out completely randomly, it's going to change the way that you approach each of the individual rounds. So, all right, negatives. The one thing I'll say is that, like any Stefan Feld game, it is completely brown. It's like 50 shades of brown. This is an opportunity to make a Stefan Feld game look great. And I understand that they kind of went with the timeline, they went with the theme and the look of 1828, but in the end, it's not the most attractive game in the world, especially if you're walking by a table and you see this. I just don't find the game very appealing graphically.
No, I 100% agree. And just little things like the fact that we have all these tiles and they have somebody's face on them. They're already green. We know which area they go to. Who is that person in history maybe? Is he significant? It would have been cool to see some other things like that. And then the smear campaigns on top of it, there are 3 different art. I like how with the campaign actions, there's a reason for the different art. With the smear campaigns, it's not so much. So I would have liked to see something more there. But overall, yeah, it's very, very brown. It's not attractive to have on the table.
The other thing that I find just mixed, I mean, you may like it or not, is the time on this. On the box, it says 45 minutes. Online, it says 30 to 60. It's somewhere in between. Games can last 30 minutes and be over very quickly. They can last much longer. I feel for this type of game, it should be 30. It should be in and out. Repeat, set up again, play again. It is a little bit long, and there's a lot of AP that you can have in the game.
And that would be my negative, is that it is a quick game. It wants to be a quick game.
Yeah.
If you are playing with somebody with AP, this game gets way too long, and it's because you can look and math out, oh, if I do this, then this is going to be the chain reaction of that decision. But you have to be quick, otherwise the game just gets a little stale.
Having said both of those, we both enjoyed it. We played it
Absolutely.
a dozen times, at least combined between both of us. It's called Revolution of 1828. It's from Renegade Game Studios in conjunction with Frosted Games. 2-player game and 2-player game only. If you have any questions, make them in the comments below. Subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook and everything else that we do, and we'll catch you guys next time.